You know that feeling, right? Driving late at night. The world is just your headlights cutting through the pitch black. It's kind of peaceful, but there's always this little part of your brain that's on edge. Well, what happens when that feeling turns out to be right? What happens when the familiar road you're on suddenly gets very, very strange? That's the big question we're digging into. We're going to look at 3 different stories where the highway becomes the stage for something impossible. Stories where the normal rules of reality just seem to break down, leaving behind nothing but a seriously chilling memory. So our first story, it kicks off with something we can all relate to, a first date. And it's a perfect example of how a totally normal, totally safe situation can just shatter in an instant, replaced by something that makes 0 sense. And the way the narrator himself describes it, that says it all. He doesn't call it a scary memory, he calls it a fever dream. That just immediately tells you we're talking about an encounter so bizarre, it completely warped his sense of what's real. I mean, the setup couldn't be more normal. A guy meets a girl, Kaylee, at church. They seem to hit it off, text for a week, and go on a simple date. Movie, dinner, good conversation. Everything's going great. To keep the night going, he suggests a drive down a quiet highway. A totally classic, kind of romantic end to a good first date. Nothing at all feels wrong. And this is the exact moment everything just breaks. 1 second, they're having this nice, calm chat. The very next, Kaylee starts speaking in some language he's never heard. Her eyes roll back in her head. He thinks she's having a seizure. But then, just as fast, she snaps out of it, gives him this wild, terrified look, shoves the car door open, and just bolts, full speed, into the pitch black woods. And after that, she was just gone. The aftermath is almost scarier than what happened in the car. Her Instagram account, deleted. Her phone number, out of service. And when he went back to the church where they supposedly met, nobody had ever seen or heard of a Kaylee. It's like every single trace of her existence was just erased. Okay, so for our next story, let's see how this theme evolves. We're shifting from that personal, really uncanny kind of horror to the fear of being totally isolated, completely vulnerable, and then being faced with a threat that is just random and makes no sense whatsoever. What's so interesting here is that the narrator admits that the isolation was getting to him before anything even happened. Just being stranded out there created this deep, unsettling feeling that something was really, really wrong in the darkness around him. So picture this scene. A guy is driving a beat-up old car, and his windshield wipers are broken. He gets caught in this massive freak thunderstorm right in the middle of the Nevada desert. So he has no choice. He has to pull way, way off the highway and just wait for it to pass. An entire hour goes by, and not a single other car drives past. He is completely, utterly alone out there. And here we go again with that sudden shift. He's feeling uneasy, sure, but he's safe in his car. And then he sees these lights off in the distance. As they get closer, he realizes it's 3 figures holding flashlights, and they're moving strangely, erratically, almost like they were stumbling or dancing. They start to circle his car, and then, bam, one of them just fires a gun straight up into the sky. He makes a split-second call to just get out of the car, run, and hide behind some rocks while he calls 911. He's terrified, just waiting. But here's the absolute weirdest part. The very second, the distant blue and red glow of police lights appears over the horizon, the 3 figures and their flashlights blink out. They instantly vanish into the desert night, as if they were never even there. Okay, our final story might just be the most unsettling of all because the threat isn't a person, it's not some creature. The threat is reality itself. It's like the world starts to glitch and break down, creating this super surreal, psychological kind of horror. This quote from the narrator, Mary, just nails the feeling perfectly. It wasn't one big, scary thing. It was this chain of small, impossible moments that made her and her friend feel like they had stepped out of our world and into one that wasn't playing by the same rules. And just look at how these impossible things start stacking up. First, she sees the exact same cashier working at 2 different convenience stores, right across the street from each other. Then, they leave a totally empty gas station, and when they turn around, it's suddenly packed with cars and people just staring at them. Then on the highway, the same busted-up minivan passes them twice. And the final detail, the thing that just breaks their brains, she looks at the GPS and realizes a full hour of time has just vanished. So what is going on here? We've got a disappearing date, phantoms in the desert, and a town that's glitching out. They all seem so different, but they're all tied together by this deep, unsettling core. Let's try and break down what that is. To kind of get our heads around this, it helps to think of a highway as a liminal space. It's not a starting point and it's not a destination. It's the place in between. And in these transitional places, it can feel like the normal rules of life are suspended. It makes them the perfect breeding ground for the weird and the unexplainable. This chart really lays it all out for us. Each story has that sudden shift from totally normal to totally bizarre. The threat in each is different, right? One is personal, one's external, and one is just metaphysical. But look at the aftermath column. In every single story, the result is exactly the same. A total lack of answers that leaves the person with a permanently broken sense of the world. And that, right there, is the crucial point. The horror isn't really the girl running into the woods, or the figures in the desert, or the glitchy town. The real, lasting terror comes from that absolute void that follows. It's being left with an impossible question that you know you can never, ever answer. And that's really what we're left with. It's that feeling Mary was talking about. It's not just being scared. It's this deep, physical instinct. A bad vibe. It's the feeling that the world isn't quite what you thought it was, and the chilling possibility that you might actually be right.